NBA 2K25 feels different, like a grizzled league veteran and the definition of a perennial starter. There are still gaps in its game, but solid fundamentals and a willingness to adapt help make it a reliable part of any rotation. Or, in this case, a novel and innovative entry that can at least win new fans and bring back old heads alike.
Oh, really? What a matchup we have here in the Don't gas me. Don't gas me, IGN.
And just like that, I'm right back. 215 God, yeah, Eldric Reacts.
Y'all might want to pick your ankles up from off the floor. It's 215 God if you ain't heard, ask around. Yeah. I'm Eldric Valentine, you up your ground when I'm around. Yeah. NBA 2K25. Now, this is the first NBA 2K that I haven't bought since 2K17, I want to say. I've dedicated a lot of time. Like, just thinking back, I've dedicated a lot of time to this game. And seeing that I'm into like different things in my life as far as like YouTube and all that, my time is very limited. You know, between having a full-time job and working on this, I feel like I cannot put in the right amount of time to be a good 2K player. Don't get me wrong, I would still watch a lot of y'all out there in NBA 2K because I'm him like that. The basketball IQ is there. But we all know that the tedious grind and the buying of the VC is like end all be all in the game. And honestly, I'm not choosing to spend that much time on this game, honestly. So even though I held back from buying this game, I still would like to see the review of it because I still might buy it maybe when it goes on sale, or if I see that there's modes that I can really enjoy and have fun with, even though I'm not putting that much time into the game. But let's watch it. IGN reviews are real controversial. Some people like them. Some people says they're brutally honest. Some people say people pay them off to give them good reviews. But let's watch this though. An NBA 2K25 review on Eldric Reacts.
Over the past few years, Visual Concepts' 2K series has become a forgettable jumble of rehashed ideas and modes with its focus on online features and microtransactions.
Of course.
But NBA 2K25 feels different, like a grizzled league veteran and the definition of a perennial starter. There are still gaps in its game, but solid fundamentals and a willingness to adapt help make it a reliable part of any rotation. Or, in this case, a novel and innovative entry that can at least win new fans and bring back old heads alike.
Oh, really?
What a matchup we have here in the
Don't gas me. Don't gas me, IGN.
Are anchored by their big men. I think it's going to be physical and highly intensified.
Make no mistake, you still can't teach a long-running basketball sim new tricks, and 2K25 remains very recognizable. But that doesn't mean you can't polish it until it becomes as smooth as Steph Curry's jumper.
Here's Curry with the three. It's good.
This is where the return of Pro Play technology shines. Although initially introduced in 2K24, this year's iteration is much better at producing lifelike player animations and motions. So Paul George's fluid jump shot and Jason Tatum's upper body heave look like the actual thing. Visual Concepts' addition of go-to moves only emphasizes the focus on realistic player movement. With it, you can recreate your favorite player's iconic signature move, like Nikola Jokic's one-legged sidestep jumper or Donovan Mitchell's bump and step back shot.
And Cleveland again with the bucket.
Both of which I loved using and abusing whenever I got the chance. My only issue with go-to moves is the lack of variety. I mean, after all, every single NBA player's bag is deep, and a one dribble pull-up fadeaway should never replace Joel Embiid's real-life arsenal of dream shakes and shimmy fakes.
Philadelphia also had some good depth, and that really helped.
Aside from go-to moves, another interesting new addition is rhythm shooting, a completely different and more complex way of scoring middies and threes. To be honest, I initially found it pointless, but after trying both it and the classic shooting method with different jump shot animations, I started preferring rhythm shooting more. Not just because it's more forgiving toward imperfect releases, but also because you can seamlessly transition into dribble moves after faking a shot. Of course, with revamped animations comes a new shot meter, which was admittedly frustrating to get used to.
You can't settle for that shot.
I mean, can you blame me for getting angry after bricking 3 open shots in a row? Clearly, it was the shot meter's fault, and definitely not a skill issue. But even though I was dangerously close to hurling both hurtful insults and a controller at my TV, cooler heads prevailed, and I eventually learned about the new shot timing profiles feature that at least slightly redeems the new meter. By default, NBA 2K25's shot timing profile is set to difficulty based. Meaning your current difficulty settings heavily influences your jump shot timings. Thankfully, this isn't your only choice, and there are 4 other settings you can try out. But shot timing profiles can only do so much to mask that this year's arrow shot meter is still difficult to time. If only I could use last year's easier to master classic bar design instead.
Right.
Tried to come right back.
But you would think there would just be something that you were switching
You
out.
got an established player in front of you. You want his spot, you're gonna have to take it from him.
After repeatedly experimenting with all these new features, I finally went into my NBA eras to check out the new Steph era, which, confusingly enough, begins in 2016, 2 years after the Warriors' first championship and the true beginning of Curry's reign of terror. Or should I say, 3 roar. Get it?
And tonight,
They got
you'll see the
all these
Golden
corny
State
ass jokes,
Warriors.
man.
They'll go up against the
Everything
San
all right.
Antonio Spurs.
Although the new Steph era makes the 2010s uncomfortably congested, with the LeBron era taking place in the first half of the decade, it's a commemoration of Steph & Co.'s near unstoppable dynasty that I can fully get behind.
We've heard all the predictions and expectations, but now it's all about show and prove.
Since this is the only new feature in eras, I immediately turned my attention to the return of My GM, which, to my surprise, has almost turned into an RPG. Although the selection of pre-made characters and 6 different backstories are relatively decent, the rest of the mode is patchy and incomplete. Every line of dialogue with its NPCs feels unnatural and forced, thrown together just to serve as a way of handing out in-season tasks. Get this, in my first conversation with the team governor, he immediately asked me to trade away our oldest and best player because of a dream he had. You can probably imagine how disastrous that would be for my franchise. And like that conversation's idle and unrealistic tone, the MyGM building appears equally empty, barely filled with expensive equipment you can't touch, as if it were a bare-bones museum, instead of mirroring a bustling business hub for a multi-million-dollar NBA team. The weirdly designed single-floor space feels more like an expensive penthouse apartment you share with 4 strangers.
Horford's checked in.
With the new features in my NBA eras being slightly underwhelming, I was preparing myself for disappointment before diving into my career. Oh, how wrong I was. As soon as I started, I was immediately placed into every Hooper's childhood fantasy.
MP has a chance to get his team over the proverbial mountain in a Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
It's overtime. In Game 7 of the NBA Finals,
You start off in the
my
finals?
team's in the lead, and after choosing my preferred position, team, and appearance, I got to finish the rest of the match for a chance to make history. Although it's only a short snippet of your player's potential storyline to kick things off, this instant thrust into a high-stakes scenario is the sudden, revitalizing jolt my career needed to contrast last year's disappointment.
And they've done it!
And after finishing the match and spending an hour trying out different builds, I jumped back in to try to make this intro a reality. But first, I had to relive my player's humble beginnings through the new story-centric mode, Heart of a Dynasty. As someone who spent the better part of their teens with the classic My Career experience, you know, the ones from NBA 2K10 through 2K13, playing through Heart of a Dynasty with its 4 story-based matches was a tremendous breath of fresh air. And even though it's short, finishing every game and watching your player grow through each one is a wonderfully nostalgic experience.
Let me give you some game, man. Here we go.
But ultimately, all my career roads lead to Rome, which, in this case, is the overhauled metropolis called the City. Even though this updated hub lacks the easygoing vibe of last year's Miami beachfront inspired design, I prefer this year's version.
Yeah, man. Y'all got a crazy
more
setup in
simpler,
there.
right?
Pretty cool, right?
Simply because it's easier to explore and every location feels more accessible. I've already spent countless hours in the dunes, the sideline, and the temple, beating every street ball boss, earning virtual currency, and collecting the rewards at the end.
I like
it
stuff
never
like
felt
that.
boring or repetitive. In fact, the time I spent bouncing to and from these areas only made me want to explore the city even more.
They pushing my. I don't know, man. I might have to get this joint now.
Even with Heart of a Dynasty
good,
and the
though.
City finally quenching my basketball RPG thirst, it isn't all sunshine and rainbows in my career land. Frustratingly enough, the plot-based matches in Heart of a Dynasty use your player's current attributes. So if you're starting as a 60 overall brown shirt, you will struggle against a high school JV team, even when you're allegedly a 5-star athlete. And here is when the specter of in-game microtransactions rears its ugly, invasive head.
That's what I was waiting for that too, man. This is what kills me with these 2K
Like
games.
always, the fastest way to raise your player's attributes is to purchase a mountain of virtual currency. Of course, you can always grind it out by playing through NBA matches and completing quests,
I
but
hate
that's
that.
painfully slow going. Even with immediate access to 100,000 VC, which is only available with either the All-Star or Hall of Fame editions of NBA 2K25, as well as going through dozens of shoot-arounds in key games, signing multiple endorsements, and roaming the city, talking to every important NPC I could find, it still wasn't enough to bring my player's overall rating up to 80. Naturally, this low of a rating
That's
makes
tough.
it difficult to keep up in online matches against others who paid for VC.
That's terrorist
The
review.
decent Damian Lillard-led starting squad that I needed to put up a fight against other teams online.
I wanted to give you something you could look at to remind yourself of how
Oh,
far
you
you
big
come,
blooding.
so you can appreciate the journey.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. And that's never been truer than with NBA 2K25. Although the core gameplay feels familiar, and it most likely always will, a handful of improvements such as go-to moves, rhythm shooting, and shot timing profiles also make it more novel and challenging. I love that the Heart of a Dynasty storyline and the return of Street Ball highlight a renewed focus on single-player experiences that gives me a little bit of hope that things will be even better next year. Don't get me wrong,
That's what we hope every year.
microtransactions are still as pervasive and frustrating as ever.
That's terrible.
But spending money doesn't always feel as necessary this time, especially in my team, thanks to the return of the auction house. So, although NBA 2K25 isn't on the level of Michael Jordan's splashy return in 1995, it can at least compare to his late career stint with the Washington Wizards. You know what you're getting at this point, but it still has a few tricks up its sleeves that longtime fans like me can be pleasantly surprised by, even as we grumble about long-standing issues. For more of this year's sports games, check out our reviews of Madden NFL 25 or Topspin 2K25. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
Nah, 2K every year. Every year, 2K, we have this debate. Should I get it? Should I not? Honestly, man, I feel for these gamers out here, man. Excuse me for sounding like an old head for a second, but I remember the days back when you used to buy the game, you used to get the whole game. And everything wasn't, microtransaction this, VC this. Of course you had ways, nothing was ever for free. Like anytime you had an RPG type of game, you had to grind to get your player better. Like that's what it's about. But it's when it comes down to me not having the stats to win. It's not because you're better than me. It's just that you got better stats. It's not that you're good. You're not better than me, but your player is good, and mine is not. So therefore, I have to suffer because of that. For somebody who's competitive, and you know, most guys play this game. Well, women play 2K as well, but you know, we ego driven sometimes, and when we hear someone else says, "Oh, you're better than me," and they're really not, and it's just because your player is better, it hurts. So we gotta spend the VC. We gotta spend it just to even the playing field. I'm going to get 2K. I feel like I'm going to get 2K25. Buying that Hall of Fame edition or whatever that come with, nah, I'm not paying $100 for this game. I'll pay the $70, or I'll wait and just get it when it goes on sale, when it's a little cheaper than that. But I refuse to pay for that $100 and something game just for some VC that won't even get me to an 80. Y'all tripping, but time is something y'all can never have back. But y'all spend y'all time with me, so I appreciate y'all for that. Subscribe to Eldric Reacts, because we made it to the 25 and we just trying to make it to 30. And if we do that, that'll be sturdy. Appreciate y'all for coming. Let me know if y'all buying NBA 2K25. Did you buy it already? And should I buy it? The ones who played it, is it worth it? Is it a good game? Do you think it's better than 2K24? Let me know, man. Stay blessed and always remember to follow your dreams, because they're worth chasing. Eldric Reacts.